have you brought us here? All of you are my ultimate weapon.
Yo. Design for disaster, from the mind of the master. Plot thicker than encyclopedias with unlimited chapters. Face like I play poker, so you get no hints of the takeover.
What is going on, everybody? This is your friendly neighborhood coach, and this is the next episode of the Locker Room. Listen, y'all, it has been an outstanding week. I am here. We're going to talk a whole lot about the Browns. We're going to get into the NFL Combine, who stood out. Speaking of standout, the Ohio State Buckeyes stood out. We're going to get into a Todd Monken interview when he was talking to ESPN. Then, Caleb Downs. Is Caleb Downs in play with the number 6 pick for the Cleveland Browns? Let's talk about it. Could the Browns trade down? That's a possibility. There's a lot been talking about that. And then the local rumor is that the Browns are interested in former Buckeye receiver and current Arizona Cardinal receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. Very intriguing, very intriguing. Then we're going to get into the Cavs. Cavs had a knockdown drag out versus the Pistons. I got a little twist on it. I've been in my text messages. A lot of people feeling some type of way about how the game went down last night. To me, I think that the Pistons were sent a message, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. James Harden was injured. I don't know what is going on in Cleveland, where they go to Cleveland and they get hurt, but James Harden is injured. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Will Max Strus ever play this year? We'll dwell into that. Is Dennis Schroeder the checkmate on the chess piece for Kenny Atkinson? Does winning the East matter? I'm going to tell you why it actually doesn't. And then Jalen Tyson, the X Factor. Then for my coach's rant, we're going to get into the NBA teams that are tanking. And what do I believe and what do I think about these organizations just obviously tanking? That, and I'll have so much more. So let's get ready for the Locker Room. Listen, the Locker Room is sponsored by Road Dog Health and Wellness. As y'all know, I am a licensed personal trainer. And what I do is I want to help people know that they can be better today than they were yesterday and look forward to tomorrow. It's a brand new year. I know we're a couple months into it, but it's still new. So if you want to change your health and wellness outlook, please go to roaddoghealth.com. That's roaddoghealth.com. I can put together health plans for you, meal plans for you. I also do juicing, healthy juicing for you. There's a lot of things that I do. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, but I'm still better than a master of one. So if you want to change your health and wellness outlook, please go to roaddoghealth.com. That is roaddoghealth.com. I'll be waiting on you. All right, let's get this thing going. The NFL Combine has taken place in Indianapolis, and there has been some standouts there in Indy, notably Ohio State Buckeyes, namely Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, have stood out. Sonny Styles ran a 4.340, I'm sorry, at 210 or 220 pounds. Then Arvell Reese at 240 runs a 4.440. Then Sonny Styles' brother ran a 4.240. Now, today is going to be, and I'm looking at my notes here, guys. Yesterday, with tight ends, DBs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. Now, the Browns did meet with Carnell Tate. They met with Jordan Tyson, and they had great interviews with both receivers. Okay? Now, which one is in play? To me, I think it's Carnell Tate. I think Carnell Tate is the safest pick. Don't get me wrong. I love Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson is a stud, but I'd love to see Carnell Tate be wide receiver 1 in Cleveland. Then you could take Jerry Jeudy, move him in the slot, or have him as wide receiver 2, and then you could take Isaiah Bond and put him in the slot. With Harold Fannin Jr., I think that's a great mix of receivers right there. Okay? But there has been rumor that the Browns could be interested in Caleb Downs with the number 6 pick. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't see the Browns, or let me rephrase this. I see the Browns, if they had to take Caleb Downs, it would be simply because both linemen that they're looking at, Mauiluga from Miami, and Spencer Fano from Utah, if those two are gone, if Tyson is gone, if Carnell Tate is gone, and Caleb Downs is the best athlete on the board. Now, I've been listening this week to various talking heads, and they're talking about that the Browns would be crazy to take Caleb Downs at number 6. I say contraire, mon frère, simply because Caleb Downs has the potential of being a generational football player. I'm talking an Ed Reed kind of football player. You're talking out of that mold of Troy Polamalu type of safety. If Caleb Downs is on the board, would you entertain it? I would. I would entertain it. Now you're saying, Coach, they don't need any more help on the defensive side of the football. You heard what I said. If those other receivers and linemen are gone by the time you get to number 6, then I would entertain it. Because now you have Caleb Downs and Grant Delpit in your secondary. That is a no-fly zone. When you're talking about Denzel Ward on one side, okay, you got MJ Emerson will be back off of his Achilles injury. You got Campbell, who's on the other side, okay, alongside that defensive line and Carson Schlesinger. The Browns still have to sign Devin Bush. That is one of their priorities, is signing Devin Bush, okay? So if those receivers were not there, if those linemen were not there by 6, which is highly unlikely, guys, could you entertain taking Caleb Downs? You could. Okay? Like I said, Caleb Downs is a generational talent. He is. You saw him at Alabama. You saw him at Ohio State. You see what he brings to the table. Every team that has interviewed him has loved him. Okay? He has a podcast with his brother, and I've listened to that, and he's very intelligent when it comes to football. Okay? But watching him as a Buckeye, he was extraordinarily impressive. So, could the Browns, they're the Cleveland Browns, guys. The Cleveland Browns has always been on the other side of what normal people think. So, is it a possibility? Yes. But also, there is a possibility of the Browns trading down. Now, I heard this week that the Dallas Cowboys may be a possibility of a trade candidate for the Cleveland Browns. They're looking at giving up 12 and 20 for the number 6 pick. Now, that's also very intriguing, because if you give up the number 6 pick for the number 12 pick and the 20th pick, that gives you 3 picks in the first round. Andrew Berry, I wouldn't pass that up. Okay? I wouldn't pass it up, because you would have the number 12 pick, the number 20 pick, and the 24th pick. You can pick up 3 quality first-round picks right there, and you still have your haul in the second and third rounds. Okay? Now, do I love Carnell Tate? I do. I do love Carnell Tate. I like Jordan Tyson. But there are other receivers that the Browns could pick up, okay, that could help out this wide receiver room. So Andrew Berry is about stockpiling, y'all. So don't be surprised if Andrew Berry trades out of the number 6. because that's the mindset he has, is building picks. Number one, he's trying to rebuild the wide receiver room. Number two, he's trying to rebuild an offensive line. Okay. Now, you're not going to rebuild your entire offensive line through the draft. You could, but why would you put new linemen, all rookie linemen out there? Okay. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put all rookie linemen out there. You got to get some experience. So, right now, currently on the roster, you have Luke Whippler at center, and you have DeJuan Jones at tackle, who's coming off of injury. Okay. I think you pencil in DeJuan Jones starting, because let me rephrase that, because Todd Monken has returned, is the new coach. So there's a new system. So it's probably up for grabs, but you can get tackles in the draft. I think you can rebuild your guards through free agency. You got Wyatt Teller. You stole Wyatt Teller from Buffalo. Okay. And so you can rebuild from your tackle position. You can rebuild in the draft, and free agency, you can rebuild your guard position. I think Luke Whippler is your center. That's not saying that the Browns won't draft a center, but I think Luke Whippler is your center right now. If they were to play a game today, I think Luke Whippler is your center. Okay. So, but yes, Caleb Downs he's a possibility. He's a possibility, and there also is that possibility of them trading down. Okay. Because Andrew Berry has shown a history of trading down. So I wouldn't be upset if he did. It depends on who he picks up. Okay. Like I said, if you get a quality receiver at 12, two quality linemen at 20 and 24, or vice versa. You get a good lineman at 12, you get another one at 20, and then you go get a receiver at 24. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. Right now, you've got to get bodies in Berea, because you don't have it. All right. And I don't have this on here, but I'm going to segue real quick. I mean, I'm going to stay in the same vein, but I want to go to the quarterback position. I am so tired of this narrative that the media in Cleveland are presenting once again. I mean, they are taking some toilet bowl quarterbacks and trying to link them to Cleveland. And it's also the national media too. Okay. We heard the Malik Willis. We've heard the Kyler Murrays. Okay. We've heard all that. All right. They're bringing up guys that's probably been retired for 10 years. Hey, how about asking Phillip Rivers to come to Cleveland? Come on, guys. Let's stop. Let's stop with the tomfoolery. Let's stop with the chicanery. Let's stop with y'all narrative-based reporting, okay? Because you guys don't want to see either Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson behind center, okay? We know what you guys are doing, and the fans are not dumb. They understand what some of you writers out here are doing, and you guys need to stop it. You're lost. You're lost. You tried to run Deshaun out of Cleveland. It didn't work. You tried to run Shedeur out of Cleveland. It did not work. So now you're trying, let's sign Malik Willis. First of all, I know the Cleveland Browns can be a dysfunctional organization, but they're not that dysfunctional where they're going to keep Deshaun Watson, who's owed probably about $60 to $80 million this year, and then sign Malik Willis to a $30 million contract. Would you people please use common sense? Would you folks please stop talking stupid? And I understand a lot of y'all in the media like clicks. So y'all put this stuff out so that you can get clicks. But if you're going to get clicks, make sure your clicks are intelligent. Make sure your takes are intelligent. Make sure there's something that's a base to what you're talking about. Instead of you just saying something that you deem to be controversial and then waiting for folks to respond. Because see, when I come through, when coach comes through and sees these idiotic takes, That's what I call them. Idiotic takes from idiotic people who are trying to push an agenda. Stop it. Shedeur Sanders is your QB1. He will battle Deshaun Watson. As much as y'all don't want Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, you better get used to it because he's going to be here for at least another year. And then you have Dylan Gabriel. Whereas if the Browns don't trade him, he'll be in camp. Okay? What I think is going to happen is Dylan Gabriel will not be in Cleveland. If I'm Dylan Gabriel, I'm looking for my outright release or I'm looking to be traded because there's not going to be an opportunity for him to be a starting quarterback in Cleveland. So the most likely place is where? Atlanta, y'all. If Kevin Stefanski really loved Dylan Gabriel, the fact that he drafted him with a third-round pick, then it'd be real easy to give up a fourth-round pick just to get him. So all this other narrative-based reporting that I'm seeing on the quarterback position in Cleveland is ridiculous. And then you had Todd Monken, who went to Radio Row there at the Combine, and he talked about Shedeur and Dylan and Deshaun with Tony Rizzo and the Really Big Show. So let's put this stuff to bed, shall we? Can we do that? Let's do that right now. Here's Todd Monken.
One of the reasons you were okay coming here, and you had a good opportunity in New York. I know you wanted to be head coach, but you know the three guys you have right now. Have you dug in, looked at them yet, or no? We're still in that process.
I've dug in and looked at them.
Okay, and what did you see?
As I said up there, I think you start with Shedeur. First of all, he's a little bit more mobile than I thought. He gets himself out of trouble more than I would have thought. Extended plays. He's got a real feel in the pocket for when it starts to collapse. Sure, could we improve his drop?
Yeah.
Could we improve early decision making, getting the ball out of his hands? Of course we can. Yeah. But there is some playmaking ability there. You've seen it. You've seen and I don't know where his development started. Yeah. Was it when he first got here?
Yeah.
Was when he started playing or practicing?
Pretty much.
Well, then what you're saying is you have then a half year.
Yes.
You don't even have a full year.
Yes.
Okay, well, you can see some things there that you'd like to work with.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson at one time, an elite player. 2 years ago at our place in 2023, maybe his best game over the last 2 years, won the game and played hurt and won the game over there. So I look forward to working with Deshaun. And then, as I said before, Dylan, who did it at 3 different colleges, UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon, at an elite level, 3 places. I know that's becoming more common.
Yeah.
But still, to be elite at 3 places, pretty cool.
What's the thing surprised you most? What in the last month since you've been named head coach? Other than getting to be on our show. I mean, which is a treat.
What's been
such a
the most surprising?
Thing that she surprised you most? Like, why did you see that coming?
That is Todd Monken,
really that you didn't see coming.
Okay. So how easy, was it for him to basically shut all the stupidity down?
Is that you were going to make,
because that's exactly what he did.
To colleagues,
he shut it down. He broke down Shedeur, and he broke down Dylan. He broke down Deshaun. But even in a press conference that he did during the Combine, he said that Shedeur Sanders was elite. So I'm going to share this with y'all if y'all don't understand what the term elite means. Elite means he can make all the throws necessary. Elite means that he has the ability to process very quickly. Elite means that he has the leadership ability to grab on and gravitate to his teammates, and his teammates gravitate to him. He's elite. You never heard Kevin Stefanski say that Shedeur Sanders was elite. But you hear Todd Monken saying that he is elite. He talked about Deshaun Watson and what Deshaun Watson did to the Ravens his last time playing them. And yes, he was hurt, and he still beat them. He's willing to work in this quarterback room. He talked about Dylan Gabriel and the fact that he was an elite quarterback at 3 different schools. I beg to differ. That's just my opinion. Because to me, if you're elite, why are you playing at 3 different schools? Just me. Okay. And then watched him against the Ohio State Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl. That to me told me a lot. But Todd Monken has forgotten more football than I'll ever remember. So, what else has to be said for you talking heads to understand Malik Willis is not coming into Cleveland? Kyler Murray is not coming into Cleveland. All these quarterbacks that y'all are naming are not coming to Cleveland. So stop it. Find something else to talk about. Okay? Now, does that mean that Shador is going to be the second coming of Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is give the young man an opportunity to either pass or fail. We've had a ton of quarterbacks in Cleveland for many, many years. One more year is not going to hurt you guys. Okay? Now, just to appease the fan base, I can see Drew Aller out of Penn State be drafted in probably the 5th, 6th round. He'll be a quarterback on the roster. I look at Drew Aller. Drew Aller's 6'6". He has a cannon of an arm. He's a developmental quarterback. He is your insurance policy. Unless you want to go into 2027 with the 3 guys you got. I don't think Dylan Gabriel will be in the Browns camp long. I just don't. Because I don't see an avenue where he would be even considered. It's unfortunate, but I just don't. Okay. Marvin Harrison Jr., I heard that the Browns have been kicking the tires on. Now, of course, everybody knows I was born and bred in Cleveland, Harvard Ave kid, but I do live out here in Arizona. I've been out here now 20 years. And so I do understand a little bit about the Cardinals. So I can talk on this a little bit. Not a Cardinals fan. I don't go to Cardinals games. I'm not with all that. But I follow my Buckeyes. So the Arizona Cardinals kind of want to start over. They're done with Kyler Murray, and I don't blame him. Kyler Murray, from all reports, has been a diva ever since he showed up here in Phoenix. And he plays like one. Shout like Tarzan, play like Jane. That's from all what I get out here in Arizona when it comes to Kyler Murray. But Marvin Harrison Jr. had a difficult season. Let me tell you something, guys. Marvin Harrison is elite. He is elite. If the Cardinals are willing to give up Marvin Harrison, I would take that shot. I would literally take that shot at Marvin Harrison because Marvin Harrison is elite. You put Marvin Harrison next to Jerry Jeudy, Isaiah Bond. Listen, as much as I'm not a Jerry Jeudy fan, you're going to have problems. And Harold Fannin Jr., you have a problem. Marvin Harrison on the outside is as your ex-receiver. Okay? Harold Fannin is your Y. Isaiah Bond as your slot. And then you got Jerry Jeudy on the other. That's a problem. That is a problem. So do I think it'll happen? I don't think so. I don't think the Cardinals are going to give up on Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. I just think them guys didn't mesh. I don't think them guys got along. I don't think they meshed because, like I said, Marvin Harrison Jr. is elite. He is an elite receiver. He had a bad season, That happens to the best of them. But Marvin Harrison is an elite receiver. I'll take him in a heartbeat. Take him in a heartbeat if I'm the Cleveland Browns. Okay? Now, it all depends on what kind of package the Browns are offering the Arizona Cardinals. Who are they trying to give up? Inside the locker room, there's some certain untouchables in the locker room. Defensively, pretty much the majority of them are untouchable, except maybe MJ Emerson. On the offensive side of the ball, of course, Junkins, untouchable. There's a few. Harold Fannin Jr., untouchable. There's a couple of guys on the offensive side of the ball that are untouchable. So it all depends on what type of package the Cleveland Browns would put together and want to use to acquire Marvin Harrison Jr. But if they're able to do that, that would be an absolute home run. Now, the question that, of course, people will ask, Coach, would you give up the number 6 pick for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yes. Not even thinking twice about it. Not even batting an eye. I give up a first-round pick for him. I would. Maybe not. Maybe let me rethink that. Maybe not number 6, but if I'm holding 24, or if I'm trading with Dallas and I get 12, 20, and 24, then absolutely, I'm giving up one of those first-round picks. Okay. So if Marvin Harrison Jr. is in the mix, I'm going to make that be known. Okay. All right, let's take a moment here. If you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, you guys been following me for a minute. But if you haven't subscribed, I want you to go to the Locker Room 34. I want you to like, subscribe, comment, and share. I talk Cleveland sports because, like I said, I'm a Cleveland boy. Harvard Ave, 189. Love my Browns. Love my Guardians because they was the Indians when I was growing up. Love my Cavaliers. Okay. I date myself. I remember when we had a Major League Soccer team, the Cleveland Force. I remember when the Cleveland Cavaliers played in the Richfield Coliseum. Okay. Don't let these gray hairs fool you. I am old. But if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, please go to YouTube and type in the Locker Room 34. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Come at me with your questions because, as I say, I'm all about the smoke. I don't worry about it. I say how I feel. I feel what I say. And if you don't like it, bless you. All right? But do that. And then when you're done with that, because I'm also a very, very, very proud member of 3 The Hard Way Sports Podcast. You can also go to YouTube. You type in 3 The Hard Way Sports Talk. You get my man L Train, Lionel Jones, and the captain, Terrence Alston. And what we do, once again, we talk Cleveland sports, and we have a good time doing it. So if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, and if you have not subscribed to 3 The Hard Way, when this program is done, I want you guys to go and get your subscriptions in, all right? All right. Let's talk a little Cleveland Cavaliers, shall we? So last night, the Cavs went up against the Detroit Pistons. And I had people blowing me up. My phone was just flashing over here. My nephew, Kenny, was trying to call me, and Kenny, I'm doing a show, dude. All right. But I know I know what he wants to talk about. He wants to talk about the game against the Pistons. So the Cavs lost 121-119 in overtime. Now, I got a different spin on everything. I've heard everybody talk about the turnovers in the fourth quarter, Jalen Tyson's foul that caused the Pistons to be able to get three free throws and then go into overtime. But me being a basketball guy, I'm going to break this thing down, and I'm going to let it be known that not only did the Cavaliers send a message? They sent a message very loudly last night. Now, should they have won the game? Yeah. They should have won the game. All right? They should have won the game in regulation. They pretty much dominated the Detroit Pistons. Okay? Cavs were down, of course. Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, which we'll talk about in a moment. Keon Ellis was down. Dean Wade was down. Okay, so the majority, so you're looking at, you had Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Dennis Schroeder, Tyson, Craig Porter, okay, coming in, Naquan Tomlin. A lot of the reserves were coming in. And when I say that the Cavaliers sent a message, I saw last night where I am absolutely, positively, without a shadow of a doubt, I am not afraid of the Detroit Pistons at all. J.B. Bickerstaff was crying half the night, whining to the officials half the night. That was the worst officiated game I have ever seen in my 53 years of existence on this planet. It was terrible. It was Jared Allen fouled out and had a clean block on Duren. Clean. Everybody and their mama saw. Stevie Wonder saw that block was clean. Okay? Jalen Tyson, while everybody is trying to vilify Jalen Tyson, the strategy was already set. Jalen was trying to foul because, and most of the time the officials know the situation. So yes, they're trying to foul so that way time can come off the clock. There was no way, and you can call me a homer if you want, but I'm a basketball guy. There was no way that you call a shooting foul on that type of take foul. Most officials are not going to call that. But understand, people, it was an ESPN game. They wanted it exciting. And I'm not saying that the NBA is fixed. If that's what you're insinuating, which some of you probably will. But there's no way. Now, to the Cavs' discredit, there were 21 offensive rebounds that the Pistons got. Cade Cunningham fouled out. He had 25 points. Cade Cunningham, man, the brother can ball. I'm not going to even take it away from him. He can hoop. And so, but Jared Allen, 20 points. Evan Mobley, 20 points. Sam Merrill, 20 points. Craig Porter Jr. had 11 assists. The Cavs sent a message. And the message is, we're not afraid of you. They even matched Detroit's physicality, which to me at times got too physical. Jalen Tyson got punched in the mouth, but I love the way he handled it. He got into Cade Cunningham's chest. And that's what I love about Jalen Tyson. Jalen Tyson is not afraid of the moment. He's not. He's not afraid of the moment. But they played the Pistons tooth and nail. But the Cavaliers sent a message. No, there is no moral victories. Kenny Atkinson said it at his press conference. However, there are mental victories. And that was a mental victory. Because you imagine James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Dean Wade, who's not a big-time scorer, but he is a defender, Keon Ellis, who was an absolutely defensive lockdown. I was impressed with what I saw from the Cavaliers most of the night, okay? Now, my only thing is, and please, I know I've been very critical of Evan Mobley. I know Evan Mobley last night hit 4 threes, but in that situation at the end of the game in overtime, I do not want Evan Mobley shooting a three-point shot. I am running that play. I'm running a couple down screens or up screens for Sam Merrill and Jalen Tyson. I'm not running any. I don't even know why Evan Mobley was even on the floor. I wouldn't have had him on the floor at all. Evan Mobley is not a three-point shooter. Even though he hit 4, I know people going to try to come at me. Coach, he hit 4 3-pointers. Yes, the sun shine on a dog's behind sometimes. Anybody can hit the lotto if they play the right number. Okay? I'm sure if I close my eyes and shoot a three-pointer out of 4, I'll probably make 1 with my eyes closed. Maybe. And there's no disrespect to Evan Mobley. He had a good game yesterday. But he's not the one that I want to take that shot to win the game or tie the game. He's not that guy. Okay? Now, is that an Evan Mobley thing? No, that's a Kenny Atkinson thing. That's where Kenny's got to take the rings. And sometimes I think Kenny Atkinson acquiesced to his players, which is cool at times because he's got all-stars over the place, but you're the head coach. So there are times where you got to stop. You got to design things, okay, because you know you got a lot of reserves out there. In all actuality, Craig Porter Jr. should have shot that shot. Craig Porter crumbled in the moment. And I'm sure he's going to see the film and he's going to know. Craig Porter should have shot that shot. Okay, if I remember the play correctly. Okay? But the Cavs sent a message. The Cavs are a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. They are. And the Pistons know it. And the Pistons are petrified. Because they had just beat Oklahoma City, okay, handily, without Williams and without SGA. Let's make that clear. But they did beat Oklahoma City, which the same Oklahoma City team beat the Cavaliers. So I get that. But the fact that the Cavs basically dominated them for the majority of the game, they saw it in Detroit. I am not afraid of a 7-game series against the Detroit Pistons. Not at all. Because if you take Duren out, if you take Cade Cunningham out, they got nothing. I understand that Karis LeVert is over there. Shout out to Karis LeVert. Love Karis LeVert. Always will love Karis LeVert. Okay? But I don't see Karis LeVert beating the Cavaliers in a 7-game series. I just don't see it, y'all. It's not in my vision. Okay? So, no, I'm not afraid of the Detroit Pistons. Not at all. Not one. I will not lose a wink of sleep if we get the Detroit Pistons in a 7-game series. I am not. Okay? I wasn't afraid of Detroit when Cleveland had Darius Garland because Darius Garland used to torch them. Darius Garland used to torch the Pistons. So now we have James Harden. I am not concerned about Detroit. All right, moving on. The injury bug has hit the Cavaliers. Of course, again, I just mentioned James Harden hurt the tip of his thumb. I know Donovan Mitchell was out for a groin injury. Okay. And I'm going to get into that when I'm going to talk about Kenny Atkinson in a moment. Keon Ellis, he got a cracked finger too. And Dean Wade was out. But James Harden cracked his the top of his thumb on his right hand, not his left hand. And so James Harden is probably the most durable player. He doesn't miss a lot of games. I know he missed the Detroit game. He's going to try to play through this injury. He'll probably have surgery at the end of this season, but he's going to play through this injury as long as he can control and handle the ball. I don't see where it's going to be a major issue with James Harden. I heard all the talking heads this week. Oh, well, it might be an issue if he can't. Listen, James Harden, if he couldn't dribble, he wouldn't. But I think James Harden will be back when they play Detroit at home. And, of course, I think Donovan Mitchell will be. Everybody will be back. And then you're going to see a completely different ball game in Cleveland versus Detroit. Not saying it's going to be a blowout, okay? But I see the Cavs beating Detroit and making it look simple, okay? So James Harden is, they say he would be out. If he did not play, he'd probably be out maybe a couple of weeks. He would be out. I don't think that's going to hurt the Cavs because right now I don't think the Cavs are really concerned about winning the Eastern Conference. That's going to be another topic, okay? I don't. Matter of fact, let's talk about it. Does winning the East matter? I don't think winning the Eastern Conference matters. Not the regular season. I don't. I don't think it matters, especially for the Cavaliers. I don't think the Cavaliers can care. I think they could care less about winning the East during the regular season. I think their mindset is to be in a position to where they have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. So I think that's either the number 3 or number 4 seed. If they're in 2 or 3, let's say, they'll have home court advantage up until they play the number 1 team in the East. I don't think the Cavaliers and I don't think Kenny Atkinson is concerned about winning the Eastern Conference. I'm not saying they don't want to win. They do want to win. I just don't think he's really concerned about winning the Eastern Conference. I think he's concerned, and I'm saying the Eastern Conference, the regular season, being the Eastern Conference champions for the regular season. I don't think he cares about that. I think he cares more about the health of this team, keeping everyone healthy. I don't think Kenny Atkinson is really, or you guys have really seen what the Cavaliers will do. I think Kenny Atkinson has kept that in his back pocket. Because now, instead of a 6'1" Darius Garland, you have a 6'5" James Harden, along with Donovan Mitchell. You have Dean Wade, who's 6'10". You have Jared Allen, who's 6'10". You have Evan Mobley, who's 7 feet. You have a formidable front line, and you have 2 quality all-star guards up top. Now, are they the most stellar defenders? No. But when you have Jared Allen, when you have Evan Mobley defensively, and Dean Wade, you don't worry about that. And James Harden is big enough where you're not going to post him up. You can go pick and roll with him and try to isolate him, but he realizes who he has behind him. Okay. So I don't think winning the Eastern Conference is really on Kenny Atkinson's mind. I think Kenny just wants to make sure that his team is healthy, and he wants to make sure that they're on all cylinders. Okay. Which, talking about health again, I'm concerned when it comes to Max Strus. Now, Kenny Atkinson said Max Strus needs about 10 games to get himself together. I'm very concerned whether Max Strus is going to play at all. He's been hurt the entire season. And I know foot injuries are a mother father when it comes to trying to heal from them. But I'm really skeptical on Max Strus's return, and even more to that, how effective will Max Strus be when he returns? I'm a little bit concerned about that, y'all. Okay, but I do believe Kenny Atkinson just wants his team to go into the playoffs healthy. There is not one team in the East, and I talked about Detroit, but there's not one team in the East that frightens me when the Cavs are healthy and they're together. And the way that Jared Allen is playing right now, I'm definitely not afraid. I'm not afraid of the Pistons. I'm not afraid of the Celtics. And I'm going to say this. I'm not afraid of the Celtics even if Jason Tatum comes back. You're talking about Jason Tatum coming off an Achilles injury. Now, Jaylen Brown is playing out of his mind. Pritchard is playing out of his mind. But we'll see, because the Cavaliers are going to end up playing the Celtics. And now you've taken something away from the Celtics because they used to isolate Darius Garland. Now, who you isolate? Can't isolate none of them. Now you got to play basketball. Okay. Now the Celtics have to play ball because there's no one to isolate. Even if Jason Tatum is back, who you isolate? Jason Tatum, he can post up James Harden, but James Harden is just, matter of fact, James Harden is bigger in terms of size. So who you matching up with? How you doing? Okay. Because I believe, now Jaylen Brown, like I said, has been playing out of his mind, but Dean Wade can defend. So that doesn't bother me. So I'm not worried about the Celtics. I am not worried about the Toronto Raptors. I've always said that I think the Toronto Raptors are smoke and mirrors. They've always been smoke and mirrors. I think Scotty Barnes is terrible. I don't understand what this everyone's enamored with Scotty Barnes. I don't see it. Scotty Barnes doesn't take over games. Scotty Barnes is not that dude that you got to put on your bulletin board. Okay? Scotty Barnes to me is a jag. He's just another guy. Okay? Ingram, shout out to Brandon Ingram. I'm just glad that he's healthy. Because Brandon Ingram is Mr. Glass. That dude can step off a curb and he'll twist his ankle and be done for 6 weeks. So I'm not impressed with Toronto. Orlando, love Paolo Banchero. I think Paolo Banchero is a stud. I'm not impressed with anybody else. The Wagner boys are pretty good, but I'm not impressed with Orlando. I love their coach. I think he's a really good coach, but I'm not impressed with Orlando. Milwaukee's trash. Even with Giannis, they're garbage. Okay. They're tanking as well, and we'll talk about that in my coach's rant. But there's nobody. Philadelphia, Tyrese Maxey's really good, and I feel bad for Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is balling. Joel Embiid is about one step in the grave and one step on a banana peel. Paul George, from a basketball standpoint, is not the PG-13 that I remember. I know he got suspended. I'm not getting into that because mental health is very, very key. And if he was taking medications for his mental health, I'm not going to be mad at him. I'm not upset with that. And the league shouldn't either. And the league, if it was something that was dealing with his mental health, the league should have never suspended him. I will say that. But that's off the court type stuff. On the court, he has been a disappointment. Paul George has been a disappointment. So Tyrese Maxey is carrying the Philadelphia 76ers. So I don't see Philadelphia in the mix. The Eastern Conference is open, and the Eastern Conference is there for the Cavaliers to win it. Now, I'm not saying they can go and beat Oklahoma City. We've seen it. Okay? But I think the Cavs could do something in the playoffs. I could see the Cavaliers. I would love to see the Cavaliers and the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. That would be an absolute war. Literally, a war. Okay? So, Kenny Atkinson and the Cavaliers organization, of course, they traded Darius Garland for James Harden. They acquired Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, trading DeAndre Hunter. I think Kobe Altman and Kenny Atkinson are playing chess and not checkers. The reason I say that is just the acquisition, not of James Harden, not of Keon Ellis, but of Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder has been a breath of fresh air. Now, I know he's been on 8,000 teams in 8-10 years. I understand. But watching Dennis Schroeder, he's that kind of dude that when he's playing against you, you can't stand him. But when he's playing for you, like, okay. Dennis Schroeder has an edge about him. He has an edge. He will get in your face. He don't care. He looked like he will swing on you. He ain't got no problem. Remember, this dude went after Luka Doncic and was about to swing on him. Okay. But I think it's a checkmate by Kobe Altman and Kenny Atkinson by grabbing him. Why? Why do I say that? Is because Dennis Schroeder is a quality starting point guard in the NBA and has been a starting point guard for a very long time. Now you're bringing him off the bench. He's also an insurance policy where if James Harden is not playing defense, that you still have a quality point guard who can run your offense and who will defend. Him and Keon Ellis are absolute dogs in terms of pressuring the basketball. And when you put Naquan Tomlin out there, it is a group of pit bulls, okay? When you got Schroeder, Ellis, Tomlin, Tyson with Evan Mobley or Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant has been playing his butt off, but they are suffocating on defense. So Dennis Schroeder is the checkmate. He's the insurance policy. Why is Dennis Schroeder in the insurance policy? Because if any one of those guards are not performing, whether it's Donovan Mitchell or whether it's James Harden, you can take Dennis Schroeder and put him at the starting point guard position, and you're not going to lose anything. Matter of fact, defensively, you're going to gain a lot. It was a very shrewd move. And I was talking to my nephew, shout out to KB, and we were talking about the Schroeder and Ellis deal and what could you equate it to. And I equate that deal to when the Cavaliers got Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith. Now, they're totally different basketball players. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're the same, but I'm talking about the gravity and what Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith brought to the Cavaliers. They brought a New York grit. They brought a toughness. They brought something that the Cavaliers needed at that time. And so when you look at Dennis Schroeder and you look at Keon Ellis, you see the grit, the grind, the toughness, the I'll get in your face, just the lockdown mindset of both of them. But I think Dennis Schroeder is the X factor. I think Dennis Schroeder is your insurance policy. And I think Dennis Schroeder is a leader. I've watched how, even in his first game, how he brought those guys together. Okay? So don't be surprised when you see Dennis Schroeder, in that rotation. And maybe I'll talk about it next week. I'll talk about the Cavaliers' playoff rotation. Who do I see? Because Kenny's going to cut it down a little bit. There's going to be some guys that's not going to play in the playoffs. So we may talk about that next week. Jalen Tyson is also an X factor. Jalen Tyson brings a lot to the table. Now, I know he's struggling right now, and I'm not worried about Jalen Tyson. Jalen Tyson is trying to readjust to the fact that he's not a starter anymore. He's trying to figure things out, so he's going to struggle a little bit. But Jalen Tyson's going to bounce back. He had a decent game yesterday. He's going to bounce back. But Jalen Tyson, you'll see a lot more of, because I think once the playoffs start, if Dean Wade can't hit an outside shot, you will see Jalen Tyson. Because Jalen Tyson can defend, but he can also hit the outside shot. The reason that Dean Wade is out there is because Dean Wade is 6'10". But if Dean Wade can't consistently hit an outside shot in the playoffs, Dean Wade will not be used. It will be Jalen Tyson. So don't be surprised to see Jalen Tyson in that lineup when, we get into playoff time, seeing him in that rotation. Like I said, we'll talk about the rotation next week. All right. One last break before we get into my coach's rant. Like I said before, if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, go ahead and go to the Locker Room 34 Subscribe, like, comment, share. Give me your honest feedback. I'm really trying to grow this thing, y'all, and I really enjoy doing this a lot. Shout out to my man, L Train Lionel Jones, who actually pushed me over the ledge and to do this. And so it has been a blast talking Cleveland sports. And it's just a blast talking sports, period. But if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, go to YouTube, type in the Locker Room 34, and you will see that symbol that says the Locker Room with Coach Young. I have other content, other locker rooms that's on there. You can breeze through all of those and leave your comments on those and share. And please, I appreciate any feedback. I don't care if it's negative. It don't hurt my feelings. Okay, I done had people come on and tell me I don't know nothing about sports, yada, yada, whoop-de-whoop. That don't bother me, okay? Because I'll ask anybody who disagrees with me, did what I say was not accurate? Because I come with numbers. I'm going to be as accurate as possible. But I'm going to give my true opinion. If I think your favorite player is garbage, I'm going to say such and such is garbage. I don't have to back off on that. Okay. But anyway, if you have not subscribed to the Locker Room, please do that now. And then when you're done with that, go to 3 The Hard Way Sports Talk and subscribe to that. Like I said, my man L Train, Lionel Jones, and the captain. Shout out to the captain, Terrence Alston. We do our thing, and we do it. We show up on Monday, and we do our thing. And my mindset has always been and will always be, if you don't like what I'm saying, but you will listen. Okay. All right. My coach's rant. There are NBA teams that are tanking. Now, let's be perfectly honest. Tanking happens in all sports. But recently, the tanking has been so incredibly obvious that it has gone to a level of absurdity. So the Utah Jazz played in a game. I think it was a week or two ago. And they had Quinn Snyder took his starters off the floor in the fourth quarter on a game that was winnable. That to me is criminal. It really is. Now, like I said, teams tank, but at least, I say, have creative ways of tanking. At least try to be competitive. Act like you're being competitive. The Washington Wizards are not trying to be competitive. They're tanking. Alex Sars all of a sudden is hurt. They traded for Trae Young. Y'all know how I feel about Trae Young. And then Anthony Davis, who was hurt. They weren't intending on winning this year. So they're tanking so they can get a higher pick. Now, I did hear Richard Jefferson. I wish I had the audio, but I did hear Richard Jefferson say the way that you stop this tanking is everybody in the lottery gets one ping pong ball. Doesn't matter what your record is. You can lose all the games you want to. You're only going to get one ball. Now, that may not be the best solution, but it's a solution. And the NBA has got to stop this. It is ruining their product. Ruining it. Because you got guys that, you're putting on the bench. And I don't understand. It's like, get better. Develop the talent that you have in your camps. Draft better. There are diamonds in the rough all over the place. You don't necessarily have to go to the blue bloods and get you somebody of that ilk, like the Boozer twins. But I understand. Okay. But tanking has got to, you can't stop it, but at least be more creative when you do it. Come on, Washington. Come on, Utah. Be a little bit more creative, losing games. And I'm not going to sit up here and be hypocritical. The year before we got LeBron James in Cleveland, we tanked. we tanked. But at least we tried to be competitive. We had Ricky Davis. You know, we had some players. I think Coach Lucas was coaching that team. They tanked. But at least they were entertaining while they were tanking. I mean, Dallas is tanking, but Dallas is still entertaining. Who tanked the worst? The San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk about when David Robinson got hurt and they didn't bring him back. They went and got Tim Duncan. Championships. Okay? Wembanyama. They tanked the year before they got him. So it happens. But at least be competitive in trying to do it. But I like Richard Jefferson's suggestion, and the league needs to look into it. All right? And that's my coach's rant. That is my time, y'all. Listen, I thank y'all for hanging out with me. I thank y'all for joining the locker room. Listen, like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share. Okay? I'm not worried about any criticisms. Come and bring it, all right? I am here at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every Saturday. And once again, I will be back next week, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Cleveland sports. Everybody be safe out there. Everybody enjoy the rest of their weekend. And as I always say, love on somebody. Tell somebody that you love them. Don't always assume that they know. I will see you guys when I see you. Later.